When you get into the question of saving faith, just outline, first of all, do you think it can be? Secondly, is it worth it? And third, whose faith are you talking about? And how do you unfold this in the book?
Well, I talk about the fact, and again, we've talked about this earlier in the conversation. Christianity is in trouble right now, particularly in America.
Yeah.
I think there's no question about that. Mainline Protestantism is, has been on the ropes since the mid 1960s. The Catholic Church is dealing with the whole pedophilia thing, and you've got these conservative bishops who think that Trump is somehow morally superior to Joe Biden. And you have evangelicals who have sold their soul and their birthright to Donald Trump. And so I begin there and talk about the challenges facing all three of those branches of Christianity, which I think are probably the major three in American life, and how we got there. I think a big part of it is what I call sentimentalism, nostalgia for the 1950s, for example, and the television shows Ozzie and Harriet and Andy Mayberry and all that sort of thing, celebrating this past that really wasn't shared by all Americans by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly, people of color did not share in the post-war prosperity. But sentimentality, I think, is a dangerous lure, I think, in many ways. So we talked about that. I talked about the whole cult of Christian nationalism, or so-called Christian nationalism. I'm not sure there's much Christian about it. This fallacy, this wishful thinking, I guess, that America was and always has been a Christian nation, which is just demonstrably false and I think very dangerous. And then I tried to talk about how we get out of that, how we try to reclaim our faith. And I think what I try to argue is that somehow we have to reclaim our prophetic voice. And that means not succumbing to the herd mentality, particularly in the direction of Donald Trump, who I think is really a dangerous man. I think you probably share that sentiment.
Yeah.
But also recognizing that being on the margins is not such a bad thing.
Yeah.
That is to say that, in my sense, as a historian of religion in America, is that the most successful prophetic religious voices have always spoken from the margins of society and not in the councils of power. Yeah. And once you begin to, and you can talk about this with your own life if you wish, but once you begin to hanker after that sort of power and inside influence, you begin to lose your prophetic voice. And I think that's what's happened.